So a little bit of history. King Solomon was known to have the greatest wisdom, and he had the greatest wealth. Queen of Sheba came to visit him, and she was so impressed with his wisdom that in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 10, she offers him all sorts of riches just to get her desire from him, which he gives in turn, saying that just as we didn't know what Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba, we don't know what Phillips, the archaeologist that discovered the stores, gave to the Sultan of Oman, who, of course, we do know rewarded him handsomely. The seemingly insignificant, goofy video asked the question, what did this archaeologist give to the Sultan of Oman? Especially since they became such good friends because of what he found. Could it be a set of 72 sigils of 72 demons from this book?
Hello, my friends. Jacob's here one more time. I'm so happy that all of you pressed that play button so that you could learn about spooky demons and artificial intelligence and the spiritual dark battle that is taking place today on Twitter, which is now the X app. One of the most influential platforms in social media today has rebranded itself, but we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, we've been talking about how it was going to become the X app for a long time. Heck, I mentioned that Elon was going to be taking over Twitter before he took over Twitter. We knew that the X app was coming, talked about it on show after show after show, and we know that that X is very symbolic of something. It's a cross of sorts. Some videos, I likened it to the Christ, that Christ is coming, that this is the day that we're in. The X that we've been talking about on this show, going back years, the X that took place right over the United States of America, the Great American Eclipses. Of course, on Twitter, I pointed out the fact that the new logo, this logo right here, which I kind of said, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if it had just 3 ones in it? 3 ones, the 111, which in Strong's actually literally means abominable, to do that which is abominable. It's very interesting because there are 3 ones in it, but that's not what's freaky about all of this. I was driving myself bonkers trying to figure out what that font was, and I figured it out. And when I figured it out, it really just, it blew my mind because it reminded me of a video that I did many years ago. And it has to do with demons. Now this is strange, okay? This is really strange, and once again, we're on the channel here. If you're new, I'm Jacob Israel. I like to just talk about stuff in the world and I extrapolate kind of a spiritual message, but I'm a writer too. So a lot of this stuff that I'm sharing right now, maybe there's no connection at all, but I'm gonna basically lay some stuff out and connect some things that is going to be so freaky that it's been on my mind for like the last 24 hours. I can't get it out of my mind. Kind of like some kind of it's wormed its way in, like a song. When you get a song, they call it an earworm. We've been talking about worms on the show too. Now listen, demons are spooky, right? Well, what's a demon? A demon is a lie. That's from the father of all lies, the devil. This is written in scripture. And the truth is what casts the demon out. And I'm telling you that it's not just me that says that the demon in AI could be somehow connected, okay? That these are ancient gods, as Geordie Rose once placed them, as the aliens that were going to take over. Geordie Rose, the guy, the inventor of the first quantum computer, one of the things that he said was we're returning the old gods, likening these interdimensional AI beings to being something out of like nightmare stories, something very spooky. But he's not the only one that kind of says that AI, artificial intelligence, has something to do with the demon. Well, because of course Elon Musk, Elon himself, he pointed out very clearly back, what was it, like 2014? We're summoning the demon with artificial intelligence. And I asked everybody, what if he's not saying, that in a metaphor? Like, what if that's really what's happening? What's weird is that you got a lot of people that are into AI that are also into the occult. And there's actually top people in AI that are literally teaching demon sigils and downloading them and giving it to artificial intelligence, as you're going to find out on today's show. This is bonkers, and it's spooky. The fact that that X is everywhere. I told you this. Even Elon's company, XAI. You know, I showed you the logo, and it was 11. Xi, like the president of China. Xi, like as if we're in some kind of a simulation, if you will. Maybe a simulated environment that Jesus was sent to release the captives there free. This is a picture of the environment that we're in today, because it's become very dark. Oh, so I hope that you're buckled up for this, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but for a while now, it seems like reality is changing. Heck, people don't even know what they're seeing anymore. I told you when that first video came out with that woman who was like, this guy isn't real. I said that this was going to be a trend and we were going to see more and more and more of it. I get video after video of people freaking out on planes. Someone saying that they're in a time loop over in China. Last night, Leanne sent me a video of some person that they said was demon possessed, and if you look at her as she's freaking out, it does kind of look that way. But what if none of that's real? What if it's all an illusion? What if it's all a lie? What if it's demon possession? And it gets us all to think things that maybe aren't true to possess us, to control us. I've been talking about threats, the mind worm, the parasite. A video I did a little while ago on the Titan submarine, where I compared the submarine to Solomon's shamir, which was a worm that could carve into stone. Very interesting occult stuff, like Solomon's shamir. They don't know if it's a real thing or it's a mythical creature, but there's a lot of spooky stuff attached to Solomon. Now, what does Solomon have to do with this logo? Which, by the way, if you invert it, put a mirror next to it, it looks just like this. And next thing you know, we're all like, hey, that kind of looks a lot like the Masonic logo. And it's interesting because if you look at Madonna's outfit from when she did her big performance where she was basically showing how the world was going to be on fire and all sorts of spooky things, she was wearing an X that was just like that font. One larger and then one smaller. Do you know what that font is called? It's called Unicode. Unicode. That's interesting. It's going to get more interesting in a second. I did videos for a long time. I talked about how social media, especially on Twitter, soon all the birdies would be put in their cages. At the inauguration, Amanda Gorman, this poet, she read this beautiful poem, and it was a very interesting poem. But what was really spectacular about the whole thing was that everybody was talking about a certain ring she was given by Oprah, and it was a bird cage. And in that video, where you also see me showing a picture of like Handmaid's Tales and a lot of spooky stuff, and that the Hunger Games is upon us, I said that the birds were going to be put in their cages soon. And it wasn't long before they announced the bird cage program, which I talked about as well. And then, of course, we talked about how Musk was going to take over Twitter before he took over Twitter. And then, of course, what did we say? Well, that, you're going to stay in your cage, even though he opens the cage. And now he's coming after the birds themselves. Birds being significant because birds are messengers in scripture. So no more bird. If you think of that X, you think of like a dead animal. Like you see cartoons, you get the X over the eyes. Spooky stuff. Because all of this that we're talking about is somehow spiritual in nature. And it's something that we really need to pay attention to. Because that logo, it's hiding something. Like, why was it that logo? Why did I have the desire to look deeper out into it? Why did I think to myself that the guy who wears the Devil's Champion outfit, which is why I wear God's Champion, because of course I'm just a meatball. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't boast in myself. I don't think I'm great, but I'll boast in the Lord. And I know that the Lord showed me some things about this logo and the fact that they've called AI the demon. They've talked about these interdimensional beings that are going to take over. Trump was the one that said the seal was opened. Diablo literally came to New York City 6/6/2023, welcome to hell. Lilith being the character that was featured that we talked about, who is the Queen of the South. The Queen of the South, who was the one that visited Solomon, who we think possibly made a deal with Solomon because he had so much wisdom, but because he had so much power. Occult books say that Solomon had a book which is revealed in a series called The Lesser Key of Solomon, which I've talked about, where he had like 72 demons that he had control over. Sigils. A sigil, I don't know if you know what a sigil is. If you look at Doctor Strange, when he makes those things on his hands, that's a sigil. It's basically something that you intend, it's a spell. You cast the spell and you attach it to some kind of emotion, which is strange because I did a show just a while ago, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, where I said, are emojis demons? Now this is where it's going to get really freaky. In the scriptures, in the end days, there was a promise that there would be people that would rise up with this end generation for judgment. One of them was the Queen of the South, Lilith. This same queen, the Queen of Sheba, that went to Solomon to spend time with him, to learn from him, and to buy something from him. Because supposedly, as the lore goes, Queen of Sheba gave Solomon all sorts of treasure, and in return got something from Solomon, these book of 72 demons, which, by the way, then were like lost to time until an archeologist out of the blue discovered something. And it was big news back in the day. And somehow this archaeologist took his great find and was scooped up by the Sultan of Oman. That's right, the Sultan of Oman. Sultan of Oman, who, by the way, has something to do with emojis. Unicode. Unicode, which has to do with the logo, that X logo. It's Unicode. Unicode, the first 72 emojis I reveal in this video that I'm about to share with you in a second. That the 72 emojis could literally be these 72 demon sigils that have been loosed on the world. We're summoning the demon, Elon says. Grimes on her birthday says she wants to make a Faustian bargain and she wants to summon a demon on her birthday. And guess who came to her rescue? Elon says, you rang with a little devil emoji. Spooky. Spookier still was before he announced that he was going to change the Twitter logo to that X. That Masonic logo. The X. The chai, which, the cross. Before which Egyptians and occultists, the like, everybody makes that X sign. X is pretty much everywhere today. Fast and Furious X, movie this, movie that, X this, X that. Greg had a space. Now, his space is on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, will you? Jacob Israel 71 over there. I share a lot of stuff over there. I put a lot of breadcrumbs out there. Like I put this breadcrumb out there with Solomon Shamir and the X logo, and I said it's a little breadcrumb. Now, why are the two connected? Because of course Solomon Shamir, this worm that can cut into stone, this worm that I liken to the worm that destroyed the gourd over Jonah's head. We're in a time of destruction of the temple. This worm, this parasite, this thread that for some reason seems to be everywhere. Just in my last video, I talked about how Trump, you used the word phylum, which means thread. Worms, parasites, AI, coming in and taking over, possessing people, if you will, through the gates of the eyes, which is why when you see a dead body, you get those cartoon X's over the eyes, the gates of the soul, the light of the body. Your eye needs to be single, but everybody's eye is looking at these black scrying mirrors, which are our phones. It's all witchcraft. Elon himself says he's looking for the head of witchcraft in propaganda because witchcraft is a thing. So strange is the fact that we're talking about these 72 demons and everything else, and you wouldn't think that there's a connection, except for the fact that Elon tweeted something out of the blue. It was very strange. It was this right over here, and it was from that show Breaking Bad. he puts this tweet out here about witchcraft, about magic rocks. Yeah, about magic rocks that somehow, let me read this, that people are hoarding and imbuing with dope spells, witchcraft. Then, even after they're done with the spells, they have to practice the right incantations to get the rock to do what they want. The rocks, these magic rocks. Jacob slept on a rock. The stone of destiny. Oh, it was a rock. Moses struck the rock. The rock is Christ. The worm that could eat into the rock. What's he talking about? Spells and incantations for? Well, the night that he announced it, Greg on Twitter, who's a very famous, very funny, very dry humor type of a guy, he held a space. And the title of his space was, Nobody Speaks Until We Summon Elon Musk. And how does Elon respond? By saying, you rang?
Yes.
So are you really changing the Twitter logo tomorrow?
Yes.
Why are you deciding to do it now?
Yeah, it should have been done a long time ago. Yeah, sorry it took so long.
So have you decided on a logo yet, or
Just playing some Diablo 4 right now.
Nice.
Yeah. We're cutting the Twitter logo off the building with blow torches.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's got to come off somehow, really. Frankly, it sounds more dramatic to say it that way. So anyway, you interrupted my game of Diablo for discussions of what?
So the Queen of the South is Lilith. Lilith is featured in the game Diablo. The Queen of the South, the Queen of Sheba, was the one that got those 72 demon sigils that are found in the book of Goetia in the Lesser Key of Solomon. Lilith, who's featured in the game Diablo 4. Elon, who says he's changing the logo of Twitter to X while he's playing Diablo 4. Diablo 4? What are the odds? And that the logo was Unicode. Unicode, which, as you're going to find out on this show, may indeed be a bunch of demon sigils that we're tweeting out, or now it's Zeet. Now we're Zeeting out. Zeet. Xeeet. Zeet. It's no longer called a tweet. Reality is changing. Zeet, which in Latin means he shall run, or it means hard work. Maybe it means nothing, but you know me, I got to look into everything, because I'll tell you today, you can't really just trust what you see. You don't even know. Like reality, it seems to be changing. And is it these demon AIs that are doing it? Are they bad? When you're doing a computer program, by the way, it's called a daemon. That's wild. Somebody pointed out to me, I forget who it was, when I was talking about the demon Bidenomics, and it wasn't by demon. He said it's by demonics, legion. That's the day. That's the day that we're in right now. Very interesting stuff. So, is the X logo, the Unicode logo, is that sort of a tip to the fact that right now demons have been released into the world in the AI space? I don't know. But it certainly was coincidental that he was playing Diablo. Certainly was coincidental that I thought, I got to look into that font, and that font was there. It's certainly coincidental that out of the blue, for whatever reason, just today, everybody's saying, share your favorite emoji. Share your favorite. What's your favorite emoji? Weird. Weird is that the Emoji Movie, which has like the lowest Rotten Tomato score ever, was the very first movie ever played in Saudi Arabia. I wonder if they unleashed the demon and they summoned the demon, as Elon said. Watch this. Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again. Happy Tuesday to you. And you, and you, and you, and you. And every single one of you that press play, that spends a little time with me on these wacky days of the close of 2018. Okay, so this morning, before filming this show, I had like everything that you could think of go wrong. Everything that was kind of getting me not to do this program because it's kind of an in-depth show and I don't really have a lot of time to come on here and tell you all about it. And you know me, I like to ramble, so I gotta try to get to the point today. I was about to do a different show completely, kind of my back pocket show. But then I realized, what if everything is kind of working together to get me not to talk about this? Well, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna try to barrel through this program today because I like weird, kooky conspiracies. I like things that are a little freaky and a little spooky because I know that my faith is in greater things. Things that are established in peace and joy and love. So I don't get too freaked out when you talk about all sorts of demons and devils and spooky interdimensional beings or aliens or whatever else you want to call them. Do you remember a while ago, Geordie Rose, the head guy from D-Wave and Kindred, he said that there's going to be like a tsunami of demons? That it has to do with AI, right? And then Elon Musk said that we are unleashing the demon, right? Big news about that in the conspiracy world. And the annals of YouTube conspiracy, lots of people touched on that. A lot of people talking about how artificial intelligence is going to be that beast that is in charge, that basically we gave life to it. So I'm saying all this to introduce you to a really spooky, wacky, weird conspiracy. Okay, emojis, right? You know, the smiley face and the frustrated face and the angry face and the crazy face and the farting face and the poop and all those emojis, right, that we use all the time. Right now, the kids, it's the crazy thing. I gotta ask my children sometimes what they mean. Sentences, entire sentences are now reduced to little things like laugh my butt off became LMBO. It became LMBO. All right? Okay, yeah, right? And now it just became the super smiley, kooky emoji, right? The crying, hysterical emoji. Because the AI that are in our phones on the internet, what they're doing is they are replacing words with emojis. Why is this important? Why does this matter at all? Well, I'll tell you, you can thank Jay Christopher. You could thank Jay Chris for doing this, his YouTube channel. He uploads a video, he sends me a text and he says, I got something that's gonna blow your mind, man. And I watched his video and I couldn't get away from it. I've been for the last, I don't know, like 24 to 36 hours, I've been like knee deep in this stuff, studying this stuff. Okay, so it goes like this. Emojis, okay? These 72 emojis that were released, these main 72 emojis, perhaps they are demon sigils. You don't know what a sigil is? You don't know what a seal is? That's okay, we're gonna get into it in today's show. So, are emojis demons? I don't know, man, but this is gonna be a crazy one. Okay, so the story goes like this. So Jason uploads his video, I watch his video. He did this video based on another video that he saw from Professor Smythe something. It's like a puppet, little kooky, little Illuminati looking puppet. And the puppet goes into this history of emojis and this book called The Lesser Key of Solomon. The Demons of Goetia. Okay, and you see that they have these weird little seals. That's what's called a sigil. What is a sigil? You ever see Doctor Strange? You know when he does those things and all those things come around in his hands? These things. That's a sigil, okay? It's like a spell. It's a spell. And you may not think that you're involved in casting spells, but every time you write something down, you're spelling it out. Okay, that's the reason why we call it spelling, because we're casting spells. It's a form of word magic. And you know that the powers that be, they're all about symbols. I did a little research on what a sigil is. Now, I'm not into this stuff. I don't practice this stuff. I think this stuff is a bunch of hocus pocus nonsense, okay? I'm not concerned about it at all. But see, here's the thing, is that there are people that put their faith in this, that believe this stuff, right? So as opposed to believing something can be done, they believe that they have to cast this spell, do this thing, send some energy into this sigil so that it will perform what you want it to perform in the world. So a sigil is an inscribed or painted symbol considered to have magic power. There's a way to do this, all right? If you write out your intention, say, I want to make a video, okay? You write that down on a piece of paper, then you cross off all the vowels, then you get rid of all the double letters, then you take whatever's remaining and you put it together in a cool little design, and then you would seal it in a circle. Okay, so that's a seal. That is an intended seal. And then after that, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to like empower it with some kind of energy, and then you go away from it, and then you come back and then you destroy it, or you leave it and it goes out into the world. Which is, I mean, it's a lot of work, considering with faith all things possible. All you have to do is really have faith. And, you know, if you're doing the right thing in the world, you're gonna be rewarded for it. You do the wrong thing, you're gonna get bad things for it. So here's where it gets weird. So I watched Jason's video, then I go to this guy, where's his name? Professor Bulwer Smythe, okay? Now this channel boasts 2 videos, has 2 videos. It has one about the Emoji Movie being totally evil, and the other one about how emojis are actually devils or demons. Now that sounds really kind of silly until you start watching it, and then it starts to get you to question, oh my goodness, am I sending out demon sigils every time that at the end of a sentence I'm putting a little smiley face? Am I actually not sending a smiley face, but am I sending Agares, who teaches all languages and tongues presently, has the power to destroy dignities and spiritual and temporal and cause earthquakes? That's weird if I'm doing that. Because you see, every one of these emojis, right? Every one of these emojis, they are connected to not just words, but they're connected to a feeling and an emotion. And that's what gives sigils power, is the energy, the emotional or the sexual or the spiritual energy that you put on this thing. And you got people everywhere now. If this is true, if these are the 72 demons that are supposedly, as the story goes, that the 72 demons that Solomon had the wisdom to control. And they were trapped in this big bronze jar, and he could, call upon them to do whatever he wanted. And as Professor Smythe points out, it's possible that he had given this information to the Queen of Sheba, and that years later, an explorer dug them up and perhaps...
So a little bit of history. King Solomon was known to have the greatest wisdom, and he had the greatest wealth. Queen of Sheba came to visit him, and she was so impressed with his wisdom that in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 10, she offers him all sorts of riches just to get her desire from him, which he gives in turn. So Professor Smythe's video goes on, saying that just as we didn't know what Solomon gave the Queen of Sheba, we don't know what Phillips, the archaeologist that discovered the stores, gave to the Sultan of Oman, who, of course, we do know, rewarded him handsomely. The seemingly insignificant, goofy video asks the question, what did this archaeologist give to the Sultan of Oman? Especially since they became such good friends because of what he found. Could it be a set of 72 sigils of 72 demons from this book?
Perhaps that power was given to the Sultanate of Oman. Now, why would that make any sense, right? Why would that make any sense at all? Okay, well, for one thing, do you know that in Saudi Arabia, they had a ban of cinema? No movies, couldn't watch movies for 35 years. But you know what the first movie they play is? the Emoji Movie, right? Like, it was like the worst movie ever. That's what, in the video, it talks about this, where it's like the worst movie ever, had like an 8 on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's the movie. That's the movie that they play in Saudi Arabia just like a year or so ago. He deduces from this that this Emoji Movie was really kind of a ritualistic, symbolic unsealing of all of these 72 demons, because at the end, all the emojis can become whatever emoji they want to be, and it's like chaos and mass hysteria. Weird. Okay, weird. Well, you know what's weirder is when you look at these seals, and some of them do kind of line up with the emoji, like this. And like this. Now, who's in charge of the emojis? There's a body known as Unicode, okay? They're kind of in charge of the emojis, right? Okay, now here's the weird thing, is that Unicode, if you go to their website, which Professor Smythe, the puppet, does in his video, you can see who the voting members are, the highest tier voting members. And some of them make sense, Google, Facebook, IBM, stuff like that, Netflix, right? But then you got the Ministry of Religious Affairs of Oman. What's that? What is that doing there? Then you factor into the equation that in this Emoji Movie, right, which Professor Smythe says is some kind of, demonic unfolding for us all, that all of our children are watching and not even realizing it, right? That in the special credits, there's a special thanks to this linguist who deals with AI, who also dabbles in the occult. Tyler, check him out. And you gotta love what he says. He says, I'm teaching a deep neural network about sigils and what could possibly go wrong, right? You're teaching this artificial intelligence how to summon demons. Okay. Could it be that perhaps all of this is, somehow, people are saying that AI is going to usher in these extra-dimensional or other-dimensional beings called demons. These are the negative voices that are in our head whispering to us all the time that we can resist because we have the power to resist them. But if they don't have a host to possess, like us, what if they just have AI? What if this opens the door for them to possess robots? And next thing you know, you got 72 demon robots running around ruling the world. I don't believe this. I want to be very clear. I mean, it's possible. I'm sure anything's possible. I'm not concerned about it. I just think it's weird because I know that there are a lot of kooky people that put their faith in nonsense like this. Now, I went through this book. See, I gotta tell you, there's something about this book. It really was, it was really it's disturbing to me. It was disturbing to me. Like, I didn't even want to read it because I was like, I don't want to read it. I don't want no spooky demons. I want to, like, I didn't want to get into it too much. But it's all over the place, right? We got Sabrina on Netflix. Remember Charmed? This has been going on for a long time. You know darn well from watching those events, those Marina Abramovich events. You know that there's a lot of dark stuff going on in Hollywood. A lot of dark, spooky stuff that's going on in Hollywood. So the puppet in this video, I get a kick out of the fact that it's a puppet. But I also get a kick out of the fact that there's only 2 videos and it was put up like a couple of months ago. And I think that that's suspect. I got to tell you, I think it's suspect because there's a lot of like hidden Easter eggs in this YouTube channel alone, because you know me, I like to dig. I watched this video and I was like, there's no way this was just some, fly-by-night channel that just came, because it was produced well, it was scripted well, it was well thought out, it had great graphics, it told a story, it kept me entertained, and it was just a silly puppet. So I decided that I was going to look for some clues in the actual video. Now, one of the things that Professor Smythe said was that he is a professor at Miskatonic University. Take a look. Miskatonic University is a fictional university. I did a little research, just takes a little digging, a little search. It's in the H.P. Lovecraft's books. Yeah, that's the university that all the heroes go to learn how to fight the demons. So you got Professor Smythe, who teaches at Miskatonic University, telling us all that perhaps the emojis we use are actually, 72 of them are actually the demons of Goetia from the book The Lesser Key of Solomon. These seals that we are energizing on a regular basis. Not just me and you, but like everybody is using them, and they don't know why they're using them, right? Soon, they say that emojis are going to become like a one world language where we don't need to, it's an international language. In other words, I don't need to tell somebody in Chinese that this is really funny, I'm laughing out loud. All I have to do is send them that emoji. They get it. Right? So that's the direction. I know that a lot of people have probably talked about how emojis are going to be the next hieroglyphs. Well, there's something to that. Hieroglyphs, Egypt, all of that dark stuff, right? Well, guess what they were teaching all the emojis in that class? Hieroglyphs. Interesting, don't you think? Okay, so like in the 16th, 17th century, there were a lot of books like the Lesser Key of Solomon, like magic books, okay? So the Lesser Key of Solomon, also known as Clavicula Salamus Regis, is anonymous with a spell book or demonology. This is stuff that's practiced. Yeah, weird. People do this stuff. They write little things and they circle them and they burn them and they do all this stuff. They cast spells, right? And they think their faith that it's gonna call some demon to put it to action, and sometimes it does. But perhaps, maybe our faith is a little bit stronger than any of that nonsense, demonic stuff. I don't even like talking about this. I don't even like talking about it. I feel like I gotta take a shower. Because I gotta get ready for work. So what's Unicode doing? What's the Sultanate of Oman doing there, right? Why is Saudi Arabia? Why is their first movie like the worst movie ever made on emojis? Why is that? What is going on? Give a special thanks to some guy who's teaching a deep neural net spooky spells. What's going on? We just do whatever we want. We're just blind. And how many people are 100% locked into that phone? They can't tear themselves away from that phone because it's like there's a spell. We've been spellbound, right? Who's to say that these emojis aren't also some kind of demonic sigil? And that there's some kind of a plan, as Geordie Rose says and Elon Musk says, to release this tsunami of demons through artificial intelligence, through the internet of all things, to control us all. Because whoever has control of these demons controls everything. That's what they say. So why not put it right there and do your little magic so that you can corner the market on the iPhone, or you can corner the market on the next new app, right? That's why Twitter is probably based on some kind of a demon seal, which is what Professor Smythe says as well. That was a weird channel. It's a weird channel. It was a very cool and interesting channel. I'm going to link it below. I'm also going to link Jay Chris's video below because, and definitely, will you all subscribe to him already? Because he's a cool dude, man. He's got a cool channel. He's got a good heart. I've gotten to know him. And he's got to get to 10 grand. Like he's not even there yet. So subscribe to him. It would be a help to him. Miskatonic University. I think that we're going to hear more from Professor Smythe. And I do find it interesting that this has captivated me for like the last couple of hours. So, are the emojis demon seals? I don't know. I will say this though, that after researching this, I haven't used any emojis. Anyways, I love each and every one of you. I hope you had the best day ever. Please do subscribe, share it around, check the bell. Don't let this stuff get you freaked out. It could be a little freaky. I wasn't even going to talk about it. I almost wasn't because I didn't have the time. I guess I do have the time. I still got 12 minutes to get to work. I still got to get changed and everything else. Because this doesn't pay the bills. It'd be nice if it does. And by the way, thank you to all my patrons. Thank you very much for all your support. It is for the small few that do, you mean the world to me. And I love each and every one of you. Please do have the best day ever. And I'll see you in a couple of days. All right? Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling